Well, here we are again. Hello. I'm going to do a video about something that I'm sort of surprised I haven't actually talked about before, and that's the Kaweco Sport. Um, I've had this one for quite a while, this blue one, and I don't usually. Um, I started off carrying this little Kaweco Sport around just as a pocket pen, uh, but I haven't been using it recently for an odd reason, and namely, it's because it has no nib. Where's the nib? Well, I was, I carried this around for quite a while, and I had set it aside, and I like to tinker with old vintage pens, and I was working with an old fountain pen that I had, and I realized that, well, the nib on it I never liked. It was very scratchy. And when I had taken it apart and I measured it, I realized it was the same size as the nib on this Kaweco. So actually, this actually goes back to my first video where I swapped the nib on this pen into a vintage Waterman, a little Waterman I had. And the nib on the Waterman, I don't know. I don't actually think the nib was the original nib, and it was very unpleasant to write with. It wasn't. I wouldn't call it. I wouldn't call it scratchy. The nib on the old vintage pen, I think, actually was almost something you would use for doing ledgers, like writing down numbers and things like that. Very, very. I don't. There wasn't even really any tipping on it, so I put the nib from this in it. Fit perfectly, matched up with the old feed, writes very nicely. Because oddly enough, these little pens, they're not that expensive. They have good nibs. I think it's a Bach nib, and I quite liked it. And then I bought this one uh, a few months ago, actually, and essentially for the same reason. I bought it for the nib, and I took the nib out of this and I put it in a vintage pen that had a broken nib, and I couldn't find a nib to fit it, and uh, it worked perfectly well too. And so I set, so sometimes when you're trying to, you got a nice body on an old pen and you can't find a nib, or the nib's just outrageous, or the nib's broken. So you find a modern nib or a replacement nib of some kind that will fit. And yes, it's heresy, I know. Some people are shocked, I know, by that. But that's what I did. And so I had these two bodies. And recently at my local bookstore, I noticed they had some replacement nibs for the Kaweco Sport. And so I picked one up. And I believe both of these were fine, maybe medium. I'm pretty sure they were fine, actually. And what I picked up was a broad, and I put it in this one. Didn't put it in this one because, oddly enough, this is sort of, I find this just a little drab, this dark navy blue or whatever, and you know, writes nicely, good pocket pen. But I just, it's fine. But this is more fun color. It's, the red and the transparent body. Um, so I put the broad nib on it. It's easy enough to pull out the old feed, put a new feed in. It's fairly straightforward. And if it, you know, it's broad nib, and it crossed my mind to send it away to have somebody turn it into a custom grind sometime. Maybe I'll do that someday. Maybe an architect nib. A friend of mine has an architect nib in a Kaweco Lilliput. It's quite an interesting nib. Makes the pen really kind of fun. Um, and I might do that. Now, I could also just use these pens as sort of interchangeable. I could put the blue and the red together if I felt like it. Fool around with it that way, put the blue body on it, whatever. I can even just take that nib off, put it on this one here too. But maybe I'll pick up another nib down the road for it. So when you buy the Kaweco Sport, you just basically get a fairly straightforward, simple little pen. You can also buy clips for it. Somebody gave me this clip, and the clip just sort of slides onto the cap like that. You can buy silver or gold, and I believe maybe a couple other different colors. And there's also which is called a vintage clip, sort of like a vintage style clip. So that's kind of neat. The So it's a fun little pen. Not necessarily my favorite. It's great for carrying around. I think of it as a pocket pen. Uh, this here box here, oddly enough, it's not the box that these pens came in. It actually has another little pen in it, and I'm just going to show it to you. A friend of mine, I traded with her for this, and it's another Kaweco, and it came with the clip, and here you have it. It's a green, and this one is a rollerball. And yeah, so you can get this in rollerball. You can get this in fountain pen. I'm pretty sure everything's interchangeable. Everything, yeah, I would say everything is interchangeable. You could put I could use this body to put that clip on. I can unscrew this part right here and switch it all around. That's actually pretty much the same body as you see. And I could put the green cap on this pen, so on and so on and so on. All these little combinations I can do. Yeah, so there. So what I'm going to do is put a cartridge. I'm not going to do it in the rollerball just today. Maybe I'll do a video on that some other time. It's kind of interesting to have that. Every now and then it's nice to have a rollerball. So I'm just going to pull out a cartridge and see how it works. And I hope it's the right cartridge. Oops, I don't think it's the right cartridge. Oops. Okay, see, everything pops out. I do have a cartridge here. Where do I have one? Not the Kaweco. Pretty much the same. There, that's it. Okay. I like to think I am in no way a professional. Amateur, all the way. Give it a shake to get it going. Oh, okay. That didn't take long. And I haven't actually written with this yet since I picked up the nib. And like I said, I think this is the first broad nib I've had. I usually go for fine and medium nibs. But this is the first broad nib I've picked up, and I don't know if it's comparable to, say, a Pilot broad or a Lamy broad or anything like that, but maybe I'll try that out, find out someday. So the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. So on the downstroke, you get a nice broad line. Cross stroke, you get a finer line. It gives you an expressive writing sample. Lots of line variation. And I have to be honest, I quite like the broad a lot more than I liked the mediums or the fines in the Kaweco. Probably because it's just a bit more expressive. So these pens, I think I got this for $20 on sale, and you can pick them up. I think they run from 20 to 40 in the sports, and depending on whether or not it's a limited edition, it comes in a ton of colors. Like they're always releasing new variations on the sport. And it's a very popular pen within the fountain pen community, and it's a great pocket pen. I don't actually even really consider this a starter pen. I consider this as a pen. It's perfectly great for somebody who's starting. Don't get me wrong. It's great. It's inexpensive. But I think there are better starter pens out there for the same cost. You get a little bit more pen. This is for somebody who just needs a pen that they're going to put in their pocket, and they're not worried about losing it. They're not worried about getting it damaged. You know, like I said, it comes in lots of fun colors, so you can find a nice pen that's a lot of, like is quite fun. You can buy several and interchange, you know, the barrels and the caps and so on and so on, and the sections, and you can buy replacement nibs, and they go in very straightforward. Um, so I think it's almost like a pen for somebody who's actually been in the fountain pen hobby for a while and is experienced and just has a need for a pen to toss in a jean pocket or a coat pocket and not worry about it. You know, if I'm giving somebody their first fountain pen, I would probably go for, say, oh, a Pilot Preppy. If it's, you get, I think you get a little bit more pen with the in some ways. I would go, say, for the Pilot Metropolitan, even a Twisby. You know, lots of Twisbys are good. This is for somebody who has a pen already, just looking for something in there that they can toss in a pocket. Do you agree with me on that statement? If not, let me know in the comments. How many of these? Okay. If you also, do you like this pen? Do you have one? What color do you have? Do you enjoy the pen? Do you think it's a good pen? Um, I'm sort of on the fence with it. It's a good pen. It's a good writer. It just doesn't have that wow factor for me in some ways, but it's a great pen to have in my pocket, not to worry about. That's one of the good things about it. Matter of fact, I'm going to put this in my pocket and carry it around and not worry about it. Um, you know, uh, there are some Kavecos I would like to get. I would like to get some of the metal ones. I think they're very interesting. I tried. A friend of mine had a Lilliput, and I was looking at it, and it was almost too small for me. I keep worrying that it would just fall through a hole in my pocket because I'm a picture framer and I'm always putting stuff in my pockets, and eventually I get a hole in my pocket, and they just wear out. So I'd be worried a little lily pad would just drop through a small hole or something like that. But they're quite an attractive pen. So anyway, yeah. So that's the Kaweco Sport. Uh, it's a nice pen, not necessarily my favorite pen. I wonder even if I was to do a list of my least favorite pens, would the Kaweco Sport end up on that list? That's a good question. Maybe that's a good video. Anyway, I hope you have a great day. If you're new around here, give the video a thumbs up if you like it, and I invite you to subscribe to the channel. It's, summertime's a little quieter. I'm not doing as many videos, but I'm still posting regularly. In the fall, I'll be a lot more busy. I've got all kinds of stuff to talk about, and I have some plans for some videos I want to make with some other people, and so on. And anyway, I hope you have a great day, and I look forward to the next video, and I look forward to hearing from you in the comments. So anyway, bye bye. Have a great day.